This couple runs a butcher shop that only sells human flesh. Anyone who has eaten his family's meat is addicted. In just a few days, the shop has become a local famous butcher shop. The queues are kilometers long. Whenever the meat was sold out, the couple would go out with their guns and hunt for live people. They would drag them home and make them into mince or ham. Why did the couple go on such a rampage? It all started a few days ago. The man's name was Jack. He was an ordinary butcher. He lived a routine life. His wife didn't like him as much as she did. He was not as good at making money as his best friend's husband. Also selling pork. Her best friend's family already lives in a luxury house. She drives a sports car. But Sophie can't even wear a new dress. One day, the couple was selling pork. Suddenly a group of vegetarians burst into the shop. Without saying a word, they started to vandalize the shop. They called the police. But as the group were wearing masks, it was very difficult to track them down. Their shop had been vandalized. They were depressed. The two girlfriends started making snide comments. That they were going to buy a house. The girlfriends tell Sophie she can buy a house with a pool for $12 million. It's cheap to hire a maid. She also told Sophie that they were going to open a fourth butcher shop. They sell 2 tons of meat every month. On the way back, Sophie finally couldn't take it anymore. She asked to divorce Jack. But Jack ignored her. Because then he saw in his rear view mirror. The young man on the bike was one of the vegetarians who had broken into the shop. Jack immediately braked and put the car in reverse. He pressed the accelerator. The young man didn't move. Jack took the body back to the butcher's, thinking about what the news had reported. A murderer would chop up the body. They'd chop up the body into pieces. So he took the knife and the body was quickly turned into chunks of flesh. It wasn't until the next morning Jack found that the meat was gone. The meat had been sliced up and sold by Sophie as a normal ham. Jack knew he was in big trouble. But soon the customer who had bought the meat returned. To her surprise, she was raving about the ham. She said their ham was very good. She wanted to buy 10 more slices. Jack had no choice but to sell it to her. When the customer left, he told Sophie the truth. Not only was Sophie not scared, she realized it was a business opportunity. And so word of their find him spread. Everyone was clamoring to buy it. The couple made a fortune. But the carcass was soon sold out. In order to continue living the life of a rich man, they went to a vegetarian restaurant. They started looking for their next target. Choosing a target is also a learning curve. One day Jack thinks the waiter is too thin. One day he thinks a man who is in a cold war with his wife is under too much stress. The meat would be bad. Finally they settle on the owner of the shop. The owner was chubby and white. He was so kind and friendly. He was the perfect choice for ham and meat. After dark they followed the owner to an alleyway. Ready to strike in the dark in the wind, Jack raised his knife. But hearing the owner's cries for mercy, he had a moment of weakness. He panicked and ran to Sophie's car. Since that was not an option, Sophie comes up with a new idea. She drags Jack into their circle by pretending to be a vegetarian. To get into their circle, it's working like a charm. A tall, skinny man takes the bait with ease. Jack takes out his butcher's knife and prepares to strike. But the tall, skinny guy brought along 2 of his mates. 2 against 1 turned into 2 against 3. Jack had to put his knife away, and was forced to join them in a riot. Seeing that the plan had failed again, Sophie felt she couldn't wait any longer. So, she takes it upon herself to speak to the waiter at the vegetarian restaurant. With her personal charm, Sophie managed to get the waiter and brought him home. Jack was really irritated by Sophie's behavior. He kills the waiter in a fit of rage. The fine ham is back on the shelves. Customers continue to come in droves to buy. Jack, having had his first taste of meat, found it wasn't so hard to kill. So from that day onwards, they both went on a killing spree. The restaurant owner, who couldn't do it in the first place. The fat uncle they met in the vegetable market. Fruit farmers picking in the orchard. Young men picnicking in the woods. Anyone that Jack sees, all of them had to die. The butcher's shop is getting better every day. One day a student heard they were vegetarians. They were approached by a student who wanted to take part in the event. The couple took the student to the woods. They took the opportunity to ask him to choose a mask and raise the knife. But the student noticed just in time. Turned and ran away. It was dark in the woods. The two soon lost them. Sophie remembered she had the student's contact details. She took out her phone and called the student. The phone did ring a short distance away. They ran straight for the student. The student suddenly collapsed on the ground with a scream. It looked like a heart attack. The 2 men didn't care. They took the student back to the butcher's shop and disposed of him. They became more and more comfortable with killing and cutting up bodies. At the same time, the 2 men's hearts changed dramatically. At dinner with their girlfriends, they were no longer shying away. Instead, they dislike each other freely. They were so angry with their girlfriends' husbands that they fought with Jack. Not realizing that Jack had gone crazy. Not only did he push him into the pool, he bit the flesh off his ear. He chewed it off with gusto. They took it out on him and left. But what they didn't know was that the girlfriend has found out their secret. It turns out that the girlfriend had, in the meat they sent, had eaten a heart rate regulator that is only used in humans. Unaware that he had been exposed, Jack, he still kills every day. He used to kill only adults. Now he's going after women too. On this particular night, Jack was disposing of a corpse. Suddenly he heard a knock on the window. When he got closer, it was the police at his door. But the police had nothing better to do. Just because the ham was so good, he wanted to buy some more to take home. Jack was relieved. But then his dog came up with a hand in his mouth. Luckily the police didn't notice. But the incident was a wake-up call for Jack. If they keep up this recklessness, they'd be caught in the crossfire one day. He tried to rouse Sophie's conscience. Sophie just thought she was weak and spineless. She had become a complete monster. That's when her daughter's boyfriend comes to visit. Sophie even suggests that Jack should kill him. Jack can't take it anymore. He threw his son-in-law out of the house. Jack says to Sophie, "Why don't you understand?" Sophie looks puzzled. Jack said the student, Ninny, was being bullied at school. He was fat and had a heart condition. We chased him like a dog. And now he's trying to get at our son-in-law. And that 9-year-old. Jack was determined never to kill again from this day forward. And sure enough, the butcher's shop was cold again. The tall, skinny man they used to cheat on. And that's when they came to the door. They were furious to learn of the deception. They kidnapped Sophie and took her to a warehouse. They were about to kill her for revenge. In the nick of time, Jack showed up. First, he set the dogs on one of them. He flies a kitchen knife and takes another down. Then he fights the tall, thin man. He was losing his strength and falling behind. Fortunately, Sophie got off the ropes just in time. She delivered an assist. The skinny guy's life is over. The two men were able to escape the danger of their lives. But there was still no escape from the law. The girlfriends finally called the police. Jack and his wife were sentenced to life in prison. This horrific serial killing spree finally comes to an end. This dystopian comedy thriller is called Meat on the Move. It shows both meat and vegetarian diets. Either one is a personal choice. But everything should be done in moderation. Never influence or morally abduct others.